Right now, as you're watching this, something is already happening inside you. Your mind is creating a problem, a fear, a quiet what if about something that hasn't even happened yet. And the strange part is, you're already feeling it. Your chest gets tight, your thoughts become heavy, your peace starts slipping away. But if you look closely, nothing is actually wrong. No danger is in front of you. No real problem exists. And yet, your body is reacting as if something is about to go wrong. This is how your mind quietly controls your life. It creates fear before reality even begins, and you believe it without question. And if you don't see this clearly, you will keep suffering. Not because life is hard, but because your mind keeps creating problems that were never real. Your mind treats imagined fear like real danger. Right now, pause for a second and notice this. Nothing is happening to you. No real danger is in front of you. No one is chasing you. Nothing is falling apart. And still, your body can feel nervous. Your chest can feel tight. Your thoughts can feel heavy. Your mood can suddenly drop. Why? Because your brain does not wait for something real to happen. It reacts the moment a fearful thought appears. The second your mind says, "What if something goes wrong?" your body listens. Your heart starts beating faster. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your muscles slowly tighten, as if you need to prepare for something. But there is nothing there. No real problem, no real threat, only a thought. And yet, your body reacts as if that thought is real. This is where most people get trapped. They don't realize they are not reacting to life. They are reacting to imagination. A simple picture forms in the mind, and suddenly it feels like truth. You start seeing things that haven't happened. You start feeling emotions that don't belong to this moment. You start preparing for pain that may never come. And the more you stay with that thought, the more power it gets. At first, it's just a small idea. But then you think about it again, and slowly, it becomes something bigger. It starts to feel real. It starts to feel certain, until your entire mood, your entire energy, is controlled by something that does not even exist. This is how fear quietly takes control of your life. Not through real danger, but through imagined ones. And if you don't see this clearly, you will keep suffering. Not because life is hard, but because your mind keeps creating problems before they even begin. Fear is created before reality even begins. Look closely at how your fear actually starts. It doesn't begin when something goes wrong. It begins much earlier, before anything even happens. Before you speak, your mind already whispers, "What if I say something wrong?" Before you try, it says, "What if I fail?" I fail. Before a situation even begins, your brain has already created an ending, and it's usually a bad one. And the strange part is, you start believing it. You start feeling nervous, stressed, uneasy, not because something happened, but because your mind predicted that something might happen. This is how fear quietly takes control. It doesn't wait for reality. It comes first, and then shapes how you see reality. You walk into a situation already tense. You talk to someone already doubting yourself. You take action already expecting failure. And because of that, your experience changes. Not because life is against you, but because your mind filled you with fear before anything even began. Think about how many times you felt stressed about something, and when the moment actually came, it wasn't even that bad. Sometimes it was completely fine. Sometimes nothing happened at all. But the fear you felt before it was real. You suffered in advance for a problem that didn't exist. This is the hidden habit most people live with every day. They live in the future instead of the present. They prepare for pain instead of experiencing what is actually here. And slowly, this becomes normal. You stop questioning your fear. You start expecting it. You think it's just part of life, but it's not. It's something your mind is creating again and again before reality even begins. And the moment you see this clearly, something inside you starts to shift. You realize you don't have to believe every prediction. You don't have to prepare for every what if. You don't have to suffer before anything even happens. Because most of the time, life is not the problem. The problem is the fear your mind creates before life even gets a chance to unfold. Your brain is protecting you, but also trapping you. Your brain is not your enemy. It is trying to help you. From the beginning, its job has always been the same: to protect you from danger, to keep you safe, to make sure you survive. So it scans everything. It looks for problems. It predicts risks. It tries to stay one step ahead and in real danger. This is powerful. It can save your life. But here is what most people don't realize. Your brain does not know when to stop. It keeps searching for danger, even when there is none. It treats small things like big threats. A simple conversation becomes something stressful. A small mistake feels like something serious. A normal situation turns into something your mind wants to escape. And slowly, what was meant to protect you starts trapping you, because now you are not just aware of danger. You are constantly expecting it. Your mind keeps saying, "Be careful. Something might go wrong." And you listen. You hold back. You overthink. You hesitate. Not because life is dangerous, but because your brain is trying too hard to protect you. It builds walls around you. It keeps you inside your comfort zone. It tells you that staying safe is better than taking a risk. But at the same time, it slowly takes your freedom. You stop doing things you want to do. You stop saying what you feel. You stop moving forward. Not because you can't, but because your mind keeps warning you. And the hardest part is, it feels like it's helping. It feels like it's protecting you. But in reality, it is limiting you. It is keeping you stuck in fear, even when there is no real reason to be afraid. This is the trap. You trust your brain because it feels like it knows best. But not every warning it gives is true. Not every fear it creates is real. Sometimes it is just repeating old patterns. Sometimes it is reacting to things that are not even dangerous. And the moment you see this clearly, something begins to change. You stop blindly following every warning. You start questioning your fear. You realize you can be aware without being controlled. You can listen without obeying every thought, because your brain is there to guide you, not to trap you. And the moment you stop letting it control every decision, you begin to feel something new, a quiet sense of freedom, a space where you are no longer reacting to every fear, a place where you can finally live without constantly feeling like something is about to go wrong. You trust every thought. And that's the problem. There is something very subtle happening inside you every single day, and most of the time, you don't even notice it. A thought appears in your mind, and without thinking twice, you believe it. You don't question where it came from. You don't ask if it is true. You don't pause to see if it even makes sense. You just accept it. And the moment you accept it, it begins to control how you feel. If the thought says something is wrong, your mood drops. If the thought says something bad will happen, your body becomes tense. If the thought brings doubt, your confidence disappears. And all of this happens instantly, without you realizing that it all started from one simple thought. This is the hidden habit that controls your life. You treat every thought like a fact. You treat every idea like truth. But the reality is, most of your thoughts are not true. They are just random patterns shaped by your past, your fears, your experiences, your imagination. Some thoughts are useful, but many of them are not. And still, you give all of them the same importance. You listen to every voice in your head as if it deserves your attention. And this is where the problem begins. Because when you trust every thought, you lose control over your emotions. Your mind becomes noisy, and you follow every direction it gives you. One moment you feel okay, the next moment you feel anxious, then confused, then worried, all because your thoughts keep changing. You are not living based on reality. You are living based on whatever thought appears next. And the hardest part is, it feels normal. You don't even realize that you have a choice. You think, this is just how my mind works. But it doesn't have to be this way. Not every thought needs your attention. Not every thought needs your belief. Not every thought deserves to control how you feel. There is a space between you and your thoughts. But you only see it when you slow down. When a thought appears, instead of following it immediately, just notice it. Let it be there, without reacting. You will start to see something powerful. Thoughts come and go on their own. They don't need you to follow them. They don't need you to turn them into stories. They only become strong when you believe them. And the moment you stop trusting every thought, you take your power back. Your mind becomes quieter. Your emotions become lighter. And for the first time, you are not being controlled by every passing idea. You are simply aware, and in that awareness, there is peace. Your mind turns nothing into something heavy. There are moments in your life when nothing is actually wrong. Everything is normal. Everything is quiet. Everything is okay. And yet, inside your mind, something starts to feel heavy. Not because something happened, but because your mind started building something out of nothing. A small thought appears, maybe something simple, something unclear, something that doesn't even matter that much. But instead of letting it pass, you hold on to it. You look at it again. You start thinking about it deeper. You begin to add meaning to it. You connect it to your past, to your fears, to your insecurities, and slowly, that small thought starts to grow. It becomes bigger, more serious, more emotional, until it no longer feels like a small idea. It feels like a real problem. And now, your mood changes. Your energy drops. Your peace disappears. Not because something real happened, but because your mind kept adding layers to something that was originally nothing. This is how the mind creates weight. It doesn't need a real situation. It only needs your attention. The more attention you give a thought, the more power it gains. The more you think about it, the more real it feels. And before you realize it, you are carrying something heavy that was never real to begin with. Think about how many times this has happened to you. A simple message, and you overthink its meaning. A small silence, and you assume something is wrong. A tiny mistake, and you turn it into something big. Each time, your mind takes something small and builds a story around it. And that story becomes your reality. But if you step back and look clearly, you will see the truth. The weight you feel is not from life. It is from the meaning your mind keeps adding. Because without those thoughts, without those stories, there is nothing heavy in this moment. Everything is still. Everything is simple. Everything is okay. The problem is not the situation. The problem is how long you stay inside the thought. The longer you stay, the heavier it becomes. The more you repeat it, the deeper it goes. And slowly, you lose the ability to see things as they are. You only see them through the story your mind created. But the moment you become aware of this, something begins to change. You start noticing when your mind is adding unnecessary weight. You catch the moment when a small thought is turning into something bigger, and instead of feeding it, you step back. You let it be there, without building anything around it. And suddenly, it loses its power. It fades, just like it came, because it was never solid. It was never real. It only felt heavy, because you kept carrying it. And the moment you stop carrying it, you feel lighter again. Not because life changed, but because you stopped turning nothing into something heavy. Overthinking transforms possibilities into fear. Everything begins very small. A simple thought, a quiet question, a soft, what if? At first, it doesn't feel dangerous. It's just a possibility, something that might happen, something that may never happen. But instead of letting it pass, you stay with it. You think about it again. You replay it in your mind. You try to understand it, control it, prepare for it. And slowly, that small possibility starts to change. It becomes clearer in your mind, more detailed, more emotional. You start imagining how it could go wrong. You see scenes in your head. You hear words that haven't been spoken. You feel outcomes that don't exist yet. And without realizing it, you are no longer dealing with a possibility. You are living inside a fear. This is what overthinking does. It takes something uncertain and turns it into something that feels real. Not because it is true, but because you gave it time, attention, and energy. The more you think, the more it grows. The more you repeat it, the more it feels certain. Until your mind stops saying, maybe, and starts saying, this will happen. And now, your body reacts. Your emotions respond. Your peace disappears. All because of something that started as a simple thought. Overthinking does not solve the future. It only creates emotional pain in the present. You sit in a safe place, but your mind is somewhere else. You are calm outside, but restless inside, because you are trying to control something that has not even arrived yet. And the more you try to control it, the more out of control you feel. Think about how many times you overthought something and later realized it was never that serious. How many times you created fear and nothing actually happened. How many times your mind made it bigger than it really was. This is the pattern. A small possibility enters your mind, and overthinking turns it into something heavy. But the truth is, a possibility is not a problem. It only becomes a problem when you keep feeding it, when you keep repeating it, when you keep believing it. And the moment you see this clearly, something inside you begins to shift. You realize you don't have to follow every what if. You don't have to solve every imagined future. You don't have to turn uncertainty into fear. You can let the thought be there without building a story around it. You can allow it to pass without holding on to it. And when you do this, the mind becomes quieter. The pressure fades. The fear loses its grip because it was never real. It was only created by thinking too much about something that never even existed. You are losing peace to things that don't exist. There are moments in your life where everything around you is completely calm. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is falling apart. Nothing is demanding your stress. And yet, inside your mind, there is noise. There is tension. There is a quiet discomfort that you cannot even explain. You sit in a peaceful place, but you do not feel peaceful. You have time to rest, but your mind refuses to rest. You are safe, but you do not feel safe. Why? Because your peace is not being taken by reality. It is being taken by thoughts about things that don't even exist. Your mind is somewhere else. It is in a future that has not happened. It is in a situation that may never come. It is in a story that is still only imagination. And while your mind is there, you lose what is here. You lose the calm of this moment. You lose the quiet that surrounds you. You lose the simple feeling of just being okay. This is how peace slowly disappears. Not because life is always hard, but because your attention is always somewhere else. You are living inside what if instead of what is. And the more you do this, the more normal it feels. You start thinking that peace is something rare, something difficult, something far away. But the truth is, peace was already here. You just left it to follow thoughts that are not real. Think about how many peaceful moments you have lost, not because something happened, but because your mind was busy creating something. You were sitting quietly, but thinking about a problem. You were with people, but worrying about something else. You were in a safe place, but feeling fear for no reason. And in all those moments, peace was available, but you were not present to feel it. This is the hidden cost of an uncontrolled mind. It takes you away from reality and places you inside imagination. And in that imagination, there is always something wrong. There is always something to worry about. There is always something missing. But in reality, in this moment, most of the time, there is nothing wrong at all. Everything is simple. Everything is still. Everything is enough. The problem is not life. The problem is that your mind keeps leaving the present and carrying you into places that don't exist. And the more you follow it, the more peace you lose. But the moment you notice this, everything begins to change. You start returning to this moment. You start seeing what is actually here. You start feeling the calm that was always available. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped chasing what isn't real. You stopped giving your attention to things that don't exist. And slowly, gently, your peace comes back. Not from changing your life, but from coming back to it. Most of your fears were never real to begin with. Take a moment and look back at your life. Not just quickly, but honestly. Think about all the times you felt afraid, all the nights you stayed awake, all the moments your mind was filled with worry. Think about the situations you imagined would go wrong, the conversations you feared, the outcomes you were so sure would hurt you. Now ask yourself something simple. How many of those fears actually became real? How many times did the worst thing you imagined truly happen? If you look closely, you will see a pattern. Most of them never happened. Most of them disappeared. Most of them were only thoughts passing through your mind, creating feelings that felt real, but were never connected to reality. And yet, the fear you felt in those moments was real. The stress, the tension, the sleepless thinking, all of it was real. You went through pain, not because life demanded it, but because your mind created it. This is the hidden truth most people never realize. They think their suffering comes from life, but a large part of it comes from fears that never even existed. You prepare yourself for rejection, and it never comes. You expect things to fall apart, and they don't. You imagine the worst, and life turns out normal, sometimes even better than expected. But by the time you realize it, you have already spent hours, days, sometimes even months, living inside that fear. This is how the mind drains your energy, not through real problems, but through imagined ones that feel real in the moment. And the more you repeat this pattern, the more your mind starts believing its own stories. It becomes easier to expect the worst. It becomes natural to assume something will go wrong. until fear becomes your default state, even when there is no reason for it. But when you slow down and really see this pattern, something powerful begins to shift inside you. You start questioning your fears. You start noticing how often your mind is wrong. You begin to understand that just because a thought feels strong does not mean it is true. And this awareness changes everything, because now, when fear appears, you don't immediately believe it. You don't let it take over your entire mood. You don't let it control your actions. You see it for what it is, just a possibility, just a thought, just something passing through your mind. And instead of feeding it, you let it pass. Because you know, from your own experience, that most of what you fear will never happen. And the moment you truly understand this, you begin to feel lighter. You begin to trust life a little more. You begin to relax, even when your mind tries to pull you into fear. Not because fear disappears completely, but because you no longer treat it as truth. You see it as a pattern, not a reality. And in that understanding, you slowly take your peace back. You stop suffering in advance. You stop preparing for pain that may never come. And you start living in what is real, instead of what your mind keeps imagining. You are not the voice. You are the one listening. There is something inside you that you have been confusing your whole life. A voice speaks in your head constantly, without stopping. It comments, it judges, it worries, it reminds, it predicts, it repeats. And because it has always been there, you started believing one thing. That voice is me. But look closely, very closely. If you were the voice, then who is listening to it? Right now, as thoughts are appearing in your mind, there is something else present. Something quiet, something aware, something that notices the thoughts. That is you. The voice is not you. The thoughts are not you. They are just sounds passing through your mind. They come and they go on their own. You don't choose every thought. You don't create every idea. Sometimes they appear suddenly without your permission, and yet you have been treating them like they define you. This is where the confusion begins. You hear a negative thought, and you believe it. You hear a fearful idea, and you follow it. You hear doubt, and you become that doubt. But the truth is, you are only the one hearing it. You are the observer behind it. You are the space in which all of this is happening. And the moment you see this clearly, something powerful shifts inside you. You stop being controlled by every thought, because now there is distance. A thought appears, but you don't jump into it immediately. You notice it, you watch it, you let it be there, without reacting. And something strange happens. It loses its power, because thoughts only become strong when you attach yourself to them. When you say, "This is me." When you say, "This is true." But when you simply observe, without believing, without following, without reacting, too, they pass, just like clouds passing in the sky. They come for a moment, and then they disappear, and you remain still, calm, unaffected. This is where real freedom begins, not by stopping thoughts, but by realizing you are not them, not by controlling the mind, but by stepping back from it. You begin to live from a deeper place, a place that is not shaken by every idea, a place that is not disturbed by every fear, a place that is always there, even when your mind is noisy. And in that place, there is silence. Not forced silence, but natural silence, a quiet awareness. that watches everything, but is not controlled by anything. This is who you really are, not the voice, not the fear, not the constant thinking, but the one who sees it all without becoming it. And the moment you stay in that awareness, even for a few seconds, you feel it. A calm that does not depend on anything, a peace that is not created, but revealed, because it was always there. You just couldn't hear it, while you were lost in the noise of your thoughts. The moment you stop following thoughts, you become free. There comes a moment, very quiet, very subtle, where everything begins to change, not outside, not in your life, but inside you. A thought appears, just like it always does. It brings fear, or doubt, or worry. It tries to pull you into a story, just like it has done your entire life. But this time, something is different. You don't follow it. You see it, but you don't chase it. You hear it, but you don't believe it. You let it be there, without turning it into something bigger. And in that small moment, something powerful happens. You break the habit, because your suffering was never coming from the thought itself. It was coming from following it, from building around it, from giving it your attention, again and again, until it became your reality. But now, you stop. You don't add anything to it. You don't create a story. You don't turn it into fear. You just let it pass. And, slowly, the mind begins to quiet down. Not because you forced it, not because you fought it, but because you stopped feeding it. This is where freedom begins. Not when thoughts disappear, but when they no longer control you. Because thoughts will always come. Your mind will always produce ideas, memories, fears, possibilities. The cat, that is its nature. But you don't have to follow every one of them. You don't have to react to every voice inside your head. You don't have to turn every thought into truth. And the moment you truly understand this, something inside you relaxes. You stop trying to control everything. You stop trying to solve every imagined problem. You stop trying to fix every feeling that appears. Instead, you allow things to be as they are. You allow thoughts to come and go without holding on to them. And in that allowing, there is space, a deep, quiet space, a space where your mind is no longer pulling you in every direction, a space where you are not trapped inside constant thinking, a space where you can finally breathe without pressure. This is the freedom most people are searching for. They think it will come from changing their life, fixing everything, controlling every situation. But real freedom is much simpler. It comes from within. It comes from not being controlled by every thought that appears. Because when you stop following thoughts, you stop creating unnecessary suffering. You stop turning imagination into reality. You stop living in fear of things that don't exist. And slowly, you return to what is real. This moment, this breath, this quiet presence that has always been here. Nothing outside has changed. Life is still uncertain. The future is still unknown. But inside, there is no struggle. Inside, there is no constant tension. Inside, there is peace. A deep, steady peace that does not depend on anything. And this is what true freedom feels like. Not the absence of thoughts, but the absence of control they once had over you. You are still aware. You are still present, but you are no longer trapped. You are no longer reacting to every voice in your mind. You are simply here, free, calm, and finally, at peace. Now, just sit with this for a moment. Nothing has changed outside. Your life is still the same. Your situation is still the same. The world around you is still moving the same way, but something inside you is different now. You can see it more clearly. You can feel the space between you and your thoughts. You can notice that not everything your mind says needs to be followed. And in that small awareness, there is calm. You don't need to rush. You don't need to fix everything. You don't need to solve every future before it arrives. Just come back to this moment, to your breath, to the quiet that is already here, underneath all the noise. Let the thoughts come and let them go, without holding, without fighting, without turning them into something heavy, and slowly, gently, you will start to feel it. A peace that doesn't depend on anything outside, a calm that was never missing, only covered. And the more you return to this, the more natural it becomes, until one day you are no longer controlled by every thought. You are no longer pulled into every fear. You are simply here, present, aware, at ease, and that is enough.